Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grit and Grace. I am Shylo Eckstrom out of Duluth, Minnesota, and this is a Lux media production. That's about as scripted as I'm going to get today. Very excited to welcome you onto this show. Very humbled to be asked to do this, partner up with some incredible women. I mean, that's what it's all about, some power women, right? We know the guys are on here listening, so I thank you too. Today's show is going to talk about humble beginnings, y'all, because that's where I come from, very humble beginnings. Don't forget to download us on Lux TV app. We are available in the App Store, so check us out, and also on YouTube. So if you're catching this video, hello, you can see me in my own personal studio. Cannot wait to get out to Beverly Hills soon, LA, and start shooting there too. We're going to have some amazing guests. So what is Grit and Grace? You know, real conversations, real people, and some real grit, right? We're going to have an incredible lineup of guest speakers. We're getting that together now, and this is our first show, so I'm super excited. So I've got a camera here. I hope you can all hear me well. Sorry for the bumps. We're going to get the bugs worked out in this show, and I am just super excited. So what is humble beginnings like? Well, first of all, I'm a businesswoman who got started in a small town right outside of Duluth. It's called Proctor, Minnesota. We have more bars than gas stations. I'm proud of that. Definitely grew up in a different type of life, but not that different than anyone else. We all have our upbringings. I would say mine had some challenges. We had a lot of bumpy roads, but we made it out fine. We're still here, but definitely have some things from experience that I'd love to share. And if I can give any of you one thing, you know, that's what this show is all about. And then obviously bringing lots of value and whatever we can. You know, I've been in the network marketing industry for now almost 14 years, which is incredible. I have 3 beautiful children. Currently married to my husband, Dennis, DJ. And, you know, we've had an incredible go. You know, we've definitely been through our fair share of things too. You know, marriage is ever changing and evolving. And I can tell you that I have grown so much from that experience. But I was engaged and married very young. My first marriage did not last long. You know, I hurt some people along the way, raised my daughter Taylor, single mom, you know, got divorced real early, ended up not having a place to live for a couple months. That was wild. But all these experiences shaped me and made me this woman I am today. And I'm really excited. You know, recently became sober, had a family of addiction all my life. It surrounds us, you know, you shake the tree and it comes down. And so we definitely have some areas to cover today, but you know, what's on my heart is business right now. You know, the woman or the businessman who is just getting started or struggling. Like that's what this show is about. Like, how do you get through the adversity? How do you get through the struggle? And I always say, share the suck. Because I definitely share the suck along the journey, but I'm not afraid to talk about my mistakes, my failures. I definitely am very open, and I like that because I think it's really important that we share our journeys. And a lot of us, you know, this has happened to me many times where I didn't think a part of my journey was important or impactful until way later. And I've had incredible friends and mentors point things out to me like, why don't you share that? Why haven't you even spoke about your childhood? Why haven't you even spoke? And I think sometimes we want to protect people. I think that's truly why I didn't talk about it, because I don't have issues with my parents. I had a very loving mother. She's still around. I absolutely love her. She's nuts. You're going to hear a lot about her on the show. We'll probably have Chrissy-isms or something crazy. We call her Chrissy when we want to call her something fun. She's wild. She's fun. She's a warrior. I can say a lot of great things about her. She's still with us. My father passed away about, I want to say over 10 years ago. We were very close throughout my whole life. I loved my dad. I was daddy's girl, but definitely a hard last few years. He definitely suffered on the way out and struggled with addiction. And so, you know, I really want to touch on that too. You know, when I quit drinking 7 months ago, it was a massive life change. And I didn't know how much of a life change it was going to be, but I knew it was something that had to go. Okay. So for anyone who's going through something right now, you know, for me, I got started in the network marketing industry 14 years ago, like I said earlier, and I was ignorance on fire. You know, you didn't know, I didn't know anything, you know, like I was terrible at public speaking. I was deathly afraid of public speaking. Like at our wedding, I remember I didn't even want to get up and say thank you to people because I was that afraid. Although I was this social person, you know, if I got to know you, I'd warm up. I'm the introverted extrovert, right? So I would warm up to you and then I'd be the life of the party, right? And obviously booze was my thing. And so that always helped me loosen up. Well, I started drinking when I was 15 years old. And that was my way in the door of trying to get confidence. This shy little girl who wanted to fit in so bad. I mean, I wanted to hang out with the older kids. I wanted to party with the hockey players and I wanted to do all that. And I did because I just became a partier like that. And so, you know, for me, alcohol was always in my life. Maybe not as prevalent as it was the last few years, but it was definitely something that every time I went to a self-development seminar, and, you know, that's what the world I'm in is all about self-development. So if you've ever been, you know, an entrepreneur, that's your life. Get better, get better, get better, improve, improve, you know, develop yourself, you know, work on your mindset and all that good stuff. But every event I went to and every time somebody would mention, like, what's holding you back? And I would sit there and think about it. And I could pick out like 7 of the things, but alcohol was always there. And I knew that if I wanted to get to the goals that I had set, I really had to give it up. Don't worry, my story is really fun because I didn't give it up until recently. And there's definitely some interesting stories. But hey, that's part of the journey. And, you know, when I say humble beginnings, we lived in a very small home, nothing fancy. You know, my friends would always be like, oh my God, you must live on a house on a hill. And I was like, no, it's very modest and humble. And, you know, it wasn't the most beautiful and glamorous of homes, but it was home, right? And it was part of my survival skill was to have big dreams and visions, which is part of what made me work. So as a young girl, because I wanted to have a different life, not different people, but I wanted to pay for my medical bills, for example. Like I never wanted to go through some of the struggles I watched my mom go through. My dad had a very good job, you know, he did. And he always provided. So I was never without. So I don't want to present this as like, oh, I was living in poverty all day, but we definitely had our fair share. Okay. We had our moments. And my mom struggled a lot. And I just always looked at that and I'm like, I'm never going to, number one, depend on a man. And she taught us that. But to make myself, sustain myself, and go beyond that. Like I didn't just want to like make it. I wanted to be someone great. And I was young and I remember thinking, you know, what's the next step? And I always picture myself on stage. For some reason I thought I would be a speaker on stage. Although at the time I was definitely afraid of public speaking. Like the number one fear is death. The second one is public speaking. How silly is that? Like we think about it and that's how scared I would get. Like I would truly shake. I could barely speak, but my dad always taught me, stand straight, Shylo, put your shoulders back and just be proud, even if you're scared. And I always took that with me. And so I had to fake it till I made it a lot of times. And I was so immature. I mean, obviously we're growing, but I just remember I was such a reactive person and my emotional intelligence was just at these low levels, but I managed to pull myself out of a lot of situations. I managed to get myself in a lot of situations too, but I managed to pull myself out and I was never afraid to work. So you have to get a little gritty, okay? We call it grit and grace for lots of reasons, but you do have to get gritty. And there was times in my life where I was definitely gritty. I was rough. I was reactive. I get in fights. I was volatile. You know, if you added booze to that, you never know. And I mean, I was fun, but But as I got older, that wasn't fun. And it hurt business relationships. It hurt many, many areas of my life where I wish I could have erased it. But at the same time, I wouldn't have got to where I am, if that makes sense. So I had vision. You know, you think about the underdog. I always loved the underdog stories. I was always like, I was raised on Hollywood, okay? So movies were my jam. I wanted to be in movies. I didn't even know if I wanted to be an actress. I think I wanted to be like a stunt double or something. I dead serious. I used to practice doing stunts in the house. Us kids had to have great imaginations. We were home a lot at times where there wasn't things to do. It was watch a movie or get really freaking creative. We didn't have internet back then. I was an 80s, 90s baby. So we had to get creative. And with that creativity came this spark that really got me through quite a bit. And so having vision and being able to manifest things is really important, which I learned later, that I actually naturally have these things. And we all have it inside of us. We just don't know. And I totally believe in the law of attraction. I totally believe in manifestation. And so if you're listening, get ready, because that is going to happen. We're going to have a lot of incredible guests that are going to bring some of that flavor to you, okay? You know what? You might hear some conspiracy theories. That's cool. But I'm also all about the truth. And I love a good conspiracy, but I also love the truth, and I love bringing the truth to light in such a loving way with grace, right? So that's where the grace comes in. So big imagination. I wanted to do huge things. I was an athlete. I used to be in like everything. Okay, I was a swimmer. I was a diver. I was in dance and gymnastics. Played softball. Played volleyball briefly, but couldn't fit it in. And I was actually an exceptional diver because of my dance and gymnastic skills. So of course they had me doing all the dives. This little kid, I was just a tiny little thing on that diving board, and I loved it. I was great. And they were having me do college level dives. We went to a few meets. They really saw a future for me, and it's a small school and the insurance was too high, so they removed the diving board. And I just did not have the drive to see the future of that. And I don't think it was my future. I don't think being a collegiate diver would have been Shylo's journey. I honestly don't. I mean, I couldn't even see myself in college. I would have ended up drinking anyways because I wanted to party. I wanted to go be with the kid, you know, the hockey kids, and like do my thing. And so I ended up kind of slowly stepping out of most of my sports. Although I was extremely athletic, I enjoyed that life, and that life bit me in the ass. Okay, so get out through high school, and you know, best friend, you know, dating the hockey player, the goalie, and ended up starting to date his best friend. Here's me screwing up lives, you know, making stupid decisions. Got married, didn't tell anybody, was pregnant. I mean, we did it all. Ended up moving to Hawaii. Was on a Marine Corps base. You know, my life took huge turns. I actually didn't think I was going to make it at all. What am I going to be now? You know, I wanted to be a model, and I did a funny Instagram post. I'm sure people took it serious, of course, because you can't be funny and you can't do fun things. But you know, I wanted to be a model when I was younger. I had the body type for it. I had all of it, and you know, my lifestyle didn't always match up. Maybe it did, but that dream went away. You know, like, oh, you're not going to do that, so now what? And it's like, you know, you have this baby and you're 19, you're on a Marine Corps base, and you know, you don't know how to be married, let alone on an island with no family, by yourself. The women are either all in their wives group, or you have the women who got married to get the hell out of Dodge. This is just the truth. There was like two classes of women. I was kind of in the middle. I didn't know what I was. I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to fit in with the Marine Corps wives. They're wonderful people, but I don't know if they're going to want me. And then I'm not this crazy girl over here, and that wasn't even putting them down. There was just a lot of things. There was just a lot happening, and I was changing. I was still a baby. Like, I think about the times that I was by myself out there and completely cut off. I didn't have a phone at some time. We didn't have the money. We didn't have a car. We had to borrow cars. I walked everywhere. I was going to get a job, and I finally like called it. I'm like, I got to go home. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the time that I spent out there. Was this one of the scariest times of my life, because I was completely cut off from everyone. I was writing letters home to my friends. Like, you know, I mean, even at that time, that was crazy. Like, cell phones were a thing when I was 20. And I'll just never forget that moment. And I came home and I started working as a waitress, a server. I actually started as a hostess at the Applebee's. And I also started cleaning houses, and I was picking up jobs at Bath and Body Works. Like, I was hustling because I was scared. You know, that was kind of the moment where I'm like, what am I going to do here? I don't know. This marriage is going to actually work, or, you know, is this my life? And I just went to work because that's what I knew how to do. You know, survivor, you know, everything was a survival mode. How do you get through this? How do you get through that? And I remember, you know, my husband at the time came home, and he, you know, finally got a job, and we ended up just not working out. And it was kind of volatile, not terrible, but wasn't good. I like to throw stuff. He liked to egg me on. It was just one of those toxic relationships, and it wasn't going to work. But I had a baby, and I was trying to work, and he ended up screwing up my credit. Like, bounced a bunch of checks at Dairy Queen. Not trying to put you down, Rye, but you know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those things. And we're fine now, but I ended up not having a place to live for a while. You know, my dad's house wasn't the best for a baby, even though I was welcome. My mom's was full. She had my brother and my other brother. And then it was tight, you know? And so I bounced from house to house and finally got a small little place to get me by until I got renter's assistance. You know, I was on assistance for a little bit in my life. And I remember that was always my big thing. Like, I'm never going to get on assistance. And, you know, I did. And I remember just thinking, work hard and get out of this. And I did. You know, I ended up working at Applebee's full time. I went back to school. I was in school for a dental hygienist, so I had to do some years of the prereqs, and then you go to dental hygiene school, which is a condensed program. So it ended up taking about 5.5 years, because I took a ton of classes the first semester and failed, bombed physiology, and I had to take it over, which kicked me out into another half year, waiting another half semester. So I was bummed out because there's a wait list. During that time, I had gotten divorced. You know, worked my butt off, had some great memories with my Apple buddies, you know, all the Apple buddies on here. Hello, Apple buds around the country. You know, I love you. It's like I grew up, you know, I worked so hard, and I was in that survival mode. And, you know, I provided, you know, my daughter always went to dance. She had all the things. She had the best clothes. I had a brand new car. I had a great apartment. I ended up getting a great apartment. I was dating a guy for a while. I was happy, life was good. You know, ended up, you know, ending that relationship, and my best friend from high school, one of my best friends, and I got together and got married quick, had our babies. He was a professional racer. You know, we went all over the country traveling. It was a wild few years. My 20s were happiness, getting fat, having babies. And then it was like that moment I could breathe. So I don't know if anyone remembers when kind of the economy tanked. I think it was about 14 years ago when I got into the direct sales network marketing industry. I was a dental hygienist. I just had my third child. My husband, racer, we were making high six figures every year. It was a stressful job, but we were, you know, happy. I mean, our life was for racing. Like, we were the racing family, and we were at the X Games, and we did that. And I loved being the mom. I loved being the mom and the wife. You know, I took on a role that I think I always dreamed of. And I'm just adjusting because I'm video here too. I don't want anyone to see anything. Oh, dear God. I was finally in this place where I could breathe for the first time. Like, and I think about that. I really could breathe for the first time in my life. I was always in this mode as a child. You know, my brother and I were together a lot. I helped raise him a lot. I don't take any credit away from my mother. I won't disrespect her. there was times, and then I decided to jump ship and go do my thing, and then leave the continental United States for Hawaii. You know, I was all over, but I was always putting myself in situations that were putting me back into survival mode. So fast forward, the economy tanks. I wanted to take maternity leave, and my husband's contract gets cut like that, and I was devastated. I was devastated. He was devastated. I was watching a man that this was his life since he was 15 years old. Actually, before that, but the snowmobile circuit was his life. And then watching what it did to him and trying to be strong. You know, you're like, I feel super bad for you. But the way I work is I'm like, okay, you're good, right? Like, I want you to be good because I need to go work. I'll work because that's what I know how to do. So it kind of fired me up into getting back in the dental world, going to multiple offices, trying to get full-time positions, but you couldn't back then. And you just still can't. The market's flooding. And then, you know, I'm going into these offices, I'm trying to work, and I can only work so much. Plus I had a brand new baby, and we're running all over, and he decides to, you know, start working for friends, and then eventually starts his own business, which was a lot of hard work. And you know, it doesn't just get off the ground. Of course, I supported it. Well, at that time, I get, you know, kind of thrown into this party, shake company, you know, type deal. My girlfriend was doing it. I went to a party, and I was like, oh my God, if I could make $500, that would seriously help us. And I wanted to help. Like, I liked working. I thought maybe I could do something with this and make some money. You know, how great would it be to actually put money in the bank account? Because I feel like I'm not providing what I need to. And I ended up ignorance on fire, fell into it and loved it. I mean, it's the business of self-development with the comp plan attached to it. I mean, that's what these businesses are. It's a wonderful business. But here's me. I'm the girl who hates public speaking. I don't really like having people at my house. It was like push yourself through this. Do you want the money or not? And so I did. I was an anti-Facebook or social media, absolutely hated it. You would never even see me with my phone. Like back in the day, you would never see me with my phone. It would be lost in my purse. My husband would get so mad at me. And then I go into like on Facebook, social media. And I just remember like thinking at that moment, what if I could do something with this? I really wanted it to work. And we started making good money. I started to really like it, but I was really going through a lot of changes. I mean, I was stepping out of my comfort zone. I was speaking on phone calls and speaking on stage, very rough. But I thought, wow, every time I did it, I felt so good. And I thought, well, what if I could just get to that next level? And so I did pretty well in that company. We enjoyed some trips and things like that. You know, all the flashy stuff that you see with those companies. And we learned a lot too. There were things we just didn't know. We came into a company that was soaring and it was kind of on its way back down. They were making some business decisions that ultimately ended the company, but I loved it. And I thought, well, maybe it was a short run. Stepped out and I started a business from home because I thought, if I could do that, I can maybe start something, right? So I ended up starting a dental staffing agency out of the house and traveled all over. It was going to cover Wisconsin, the Dakotas, all of northern Minnesota, and some of southern Minnesota. And I didn't know what I was doing. It was extremely hard, but I gave it a shot. And I put some valiant effort into it. Was not making any money. Was getting not very far. It was really hard. And I got a phone call. And a friend of mine wanted me to do a project with another friend that I did not know and thought I'd be great at it. And I was like, you know what? I'll try something. There was no money tied to it. It was pretty much a learning experience to be able to work with these people. And I thought, well, I got to do something because I feel like I'm stuck while I work on my business. Why not? Mind you, I was still a dental hygienist. So not only am I running this business, I'm a dental hygienist. And then now I'm doing this project for free. I don't know what I'm doing, right? So we end up creating a company and doing all this fun stuff, the culture, the products, you know, on the back end, the side end. I was kind of learning everything about the direct sales network marketing space and thought we were going to launch a company. And lo and behold, of course, something happened and we couldn't launch it. And I remember thinking, I just put every hour, I mean, I was falling asleep at my computer. When you talk about sacrifice and what I was doing, like I was working for free, hoping to get a return one day. And then this happened. And I thought, oh my God, all a lesson though, because now that I look back on it, I'm so grateful for that 6-7 months, because I learned more in that 6-7 months on a business end and even with myself. Like I learned what was inside of me in this. I was doing phone calls from 7 in the morning to 1 o'clock at night all day long. I mean, this communication skills, the skills that I was developing was worth more than weight in gold. Like seriously. And so looking back on it, I was super grateful. But at the time, I thought the rug was pulled out and I was devastated. I thought, oh my God, I just wasted all this time. I got no money. My husband was super upset with me. Like I knew this wasn't going to work. I mean, we were strapped. You know, we needed my energy to be put into something that was producing, right? My other business wasn't taking off yet. I was a dental hygienist. I could only make so much money and I was exhausted. And I was like, okay. So I ended up getting into another network marketing direct sales company. And boom, it explodes. Did really well. It was incredible. Built a really amazing team. Was part of an incredible business. The business is still around. It's still a great business. And spent almost 6 years there. And during that time, there was a lot of things that happened in my personal life, in business. People change, people grow. Our marriage had suffered a lot. You know, I jumped into this like spotlight position and in a way, at times didn't know how to handle it. I lost my identity. I remember, you know, if you're on here, I get it. I got you. I mean, you think you have to dress a certain way. You think you have to talk a certain way. You think you have to do things a certain way. And I got lost. Like this part of me, this Shylo that was dying to just come out and not be so filtered, right, in this filtered world, because that's what I felt. I constantly felt like I was being told no, or even though it wasn't true, it was my own self. But I always felt like I couldn't be my true self without having consequences. And then you add drinking to a high stress situation, and I couldn't handle the pressure at times. And I did really well. But there were things like my personal life and my children that were not doing very well. My marriage was suffering. We had gone on our ups and downs. Part of that was on me. Part of it was my husband had changed too. And we were struggling to find that balance. I was pushing my kids away and I needed something to give. So it took me a long time, but I made a decision to exit. And I didn't know how that was going to go. I didn't know if I would do another company. When I first started thinking about it, did I leave the industry or do I go to another company? And I ultimately chose to partner up with some people and do a different company, but at the same type of business. And anytime you transition, it's very difficult. You've been with teams and a culture of people who depended on you, loved you, listened to you train, and they feel hurt, you know, and then you feel hurt because they're hurt. And then, you know, things happen, social media happens, things get said, and it gets wild. And I remember, you know, the first few years, the first year or two of that transition was extremely hard. And for me, it took a toll emotionally and mentally and even physically. I ended up like I was destroying myself. I was drinking all the time. I was going through a serious, some legal battles. And I wasn't handling it. I was trying to act like I was fine and build a team and be this person on stage. And I was crumbling. I was suicidal. I wanted to be done. Like I couldn't find my way out of it. And this wasn't that long ago. It was a little over a year ago when I felt that way. I was just on the floor in the shower, crying, praying. And I finally just thought about it and I'm like, no, this isn't it. Number one, this isn't that bad. Number two, you need to get up and save yourself. Nobody's going to save you. And I have to tell you all that. Like, if you're listening, no one's going to save you. I know we're listening to my story a little bit, but I do have to stop short, cut this off a little bit and be like, you need to save yourself. With that being said, you need to ask for help too. And you need to not be afraid of it, because there's a lot of people out there who need help. And I just remember, you know, making a decision to end all the legal stuff and just say, I'm done. You know, like, let's just be done and move forward. And I remember that day, I was so relieved. I wasn't happy, but I was so relieved, because all it took was a decision, and for me to start getting over it and healing. And that's when the healing process started, because I was negative. I had got jaded for that for years. I mean, I feel bad for people who were working with me. I'm sure they got some negativity from me. I'm sure they saw a very different version of the woman they thought they were joining. And that, for me, that's a really hard thing to talk about, because I care so much about the people I work with. And for me to go through some of the battles I went through this last few years is devastating, you know, but it was all part of it. You know, people came in, they came out. It was a season, and that's okay. But for the first few years, I was just in my own shitstorm that I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see the positive in it. And there were so many blessings. We were having blessings daily, business-wise. And I was so wrapped up in my sadness and anxiety and depression and drinking, and I couldn't see it for a while. And it did take me some time to heal. And, you know, last winter, last Christmas, not this past one, but the one prior, my grandmother, Nella, passed away right before Christmas Eve. And we were ready, but it was very hard, because she was the matriarch. You know, she kept the family together. She was that person. She always smiled, and she was so loving. And there were so many things that she left with us. But with me was my time to let go. It was like my message to life is too short. It's time to heal it and move on. So I dove into yoga. I'm a yogi, so you're going to hear about that on here too. I love fitness. I love yoga. You know, it's me in a nutshell, like staying healthy. So for the past 3 years, when I'm watching my entire world like shift, and I was watching myself physically fall apart, it was so hard, because I'm like, this isn't who I am. I'm like the person who's always doing something, you know, whether it be a new fitness thing or a new diet. Don't worry, I don't diet anymore. We'll have people on here to help you with that too, because I'm all about helping you. I'm over 35, y'all, and I'm telling you, it changes. And I have rolled with some of those punches, and I want to help you with those changes too, because health and fitness is so important to me. But getting a little sidetracked. I dove into yoga. I did a certification last year, and it was like 6-8 hours. I mean, you're talking serious yoga, and just holding poses and then going through and flowing a bunch of times. And we get through February. I get certified, I think it was right after, and all of a sudden COVID hits. Oh shit. So like my biggest outlet besides praying was that. And then we're on lockdown. So I don't know what's going to happen with business, number one. I don't know if what anyone's going to do. Are my kids going to be okay? And I actually handled it pretty good. I thought, well, I'm home all the time because I work from home. We can make it. My husband has his own business. Let's just see what happens. Well, our business, my business exploded. I'm an online business. Everything's run virtually. And so we exploded. Thank you. You know, thank God. And my husband's business really didn't slow down that much. Thank God. And we were able to keep going. And obviously we were watching what was going on in the world. With a lot of things, I had not healed emotionally. I started to drink a lot more at times. And I knew I had to stop, because what it was doing before was just numbing the pain. Now I'm just doing it to do it. I really didn't have any pain to numb anymore. I could find some. I could dig up some old traumas, but that's not going to work. And so I was scared and secretly trying to quit. And I had attempted to quit a couple times alone. And I was taking, big breaks. I would do a detox because that was my way of being like, oh, I'm not going to have alcohol for a little bit. And then I would kind of, do that dance like I've done for years. And one night I had been drinking all day off and on, and I ended up going on a live and in front of everybody had a public breakdown. And not just any breakdown. I was really aggressive. I had a lot of anger in it. I said a lot of things, and it was politically charged, very opinionated, and it was embarrassing. It was a full-on public meltdown. And it was a moment where I woke up the next day and I wanted to hide forever. I was beyond devastated because I just did that in front of not only colleagues, friends, people who care about me, people I care about, people I respected. Instantly, I lost people, and I deserved it. But it gave me a minute to think, and it was that moment. I was by myself in the morning, and I remember thinking, this is it. You didn't want it to come to this, but this is what happened. So they call it your rock bottom, and I definitely hit it. There was a lot of damage done, I'll say it that way, in so many areas. And I decided I was done. I was going to quit drinking. I found some support, and I've been sober ever since. It's been 7 months, and I am the happiest I've ever been in my life. So I started drinking at 15, not every day, but the last 3 years became a serious issue. And it was time. It's time to level up my business. It's time to level up my life. And it's time to do things I wanted to do, like this podcast. I've been putting this podcast out for 5 years, and Candace at Lux has been an incredible woman who supports me and supported this. So I am extremely excited to bring you this Grit and Great podcast, talk a lot about my life and what I can bring to you, but also just get a little gritty. Like, listen, the truth can be gritty. Hearing the truth can be gritty, and we don't always want to hear it, but we need to hear it. But we can do it gracefully, right? And that's why we're here. So this little girl, this underdog, I shouldn't be here. I'll just say that right now. I shouldn't be here. The statistics, the way I grew up, how everything went down, I shouldn't be where I am. I shouldn't be in the space I'm in, making 7 figures and helping others, in being able to speak on stages, thousands, being able to have a podcast and meet incredible people and be connected to incredible people and help and give back. That shouldn't have been me. If you would put me on paper as a kid, I wouldn't be here. Because we have 2 choices. Our past can either define us, shape us, and push us, or it can keep us where we're at. It can be our excuse. And I have not been through everything, and there's people out there who have been through much more than me. I'm extremely blessed, and I'm very grateful. But if I can do anything with what I've been through and what I have available to me, maybe we can change the world. And that's what it's all about. So, thank you for joining me on this incredible day, or wherever you're catching us from. Obviously, hair and makeup done by myself. I'm wearing sweats and have some high heels on because, hello, you have to wear some nice shoes. Fashion is also my jam, so we're going to have a lot of variety on the show. But I am so grateful, so excited. Thank you for tuning in to Grit and Grace with Shylo Eckstrom, a Lux Media production, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong.
Elevated sense of well-being. Supports muscle strength and endurance.
Cognitive function. Powerful liver support.
Energy. Helps blood sugar regulation. Superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the marketplace.